Today we are replacing one of those long bolts on the rear axle of a Subaru. You need to remove this if you want to access the CV axle to change the boot. So here we had to change the boot, and so you have to remove this bolt. And the problem is that those bolts, if they are not serviced regularly or put with a lot of anti-seize, they freeze. So what's going to happen? Now we have to do the other side. Usually, even if you soak them with PB Blaster and stuff, that's a bolt that has 160,000 miles in New England in the rust, and so the bolt is actually frozen here inside the knuckle on both edges, and it's also frozen inside the bushings here. So you can try with an impact and stuff to try to remove the bolt. What's going to happen at some stage is that the head of the bolt is going to snap like this, because you won't be able to get it out. You can see everything is also frozen inside the bushing here. So the fastest method so far I found, if you have a plasma cutter, is to cut the bolt here and here on the inside with the plasma cutter, and then go with a punch to push each side out. Usually the part of the bolt in the middle here is not frozen, but it's the knuckle that blocks everything. So I'm going to do a cut on each side, and we'll see how that goes. In terms of plasma cutter, I'm using this Lotus LTP 5000D that you can find relatively cheap on Amazon. And here's a fiberglass welding blanket from Harbor Freight to protect the axle boot. You don't want to cut here and here, you don't want to melt the boot in case the boot is still good. And I also took the brake caliper away to make sure I keep the brake line away over there and I don't get any spray over the aluminum caliper just in case, to be extra safe. So here is the result. I did cut here with a plasma cutter. After that you just take a punch, you insert the punch here sideways to push the remainder out, and whatever was frozen in here comes out, and the rest is still frozen in the bushing. So the next step is we're gonna burn the bushing to extract this out, and we'll replace the bushing. Now I'm gonna go and do the same procedure on the other side to cut the bolt here at the edge on the other side. So as soon as you are done cutting, it's gonna fall off, and then just I have a big punch here. I just hit it with a big punch and it's coming out relatively easily. Spray water to make sure the boot doesn't get too hot on top there. Cool down everything. There we go. And now we can just go and clean everything up. So I have remove the and loosen the bolt over there. So now I can take the axle out. Here I have taken already the other lateral link out. After that we are going to go burn the bushings and replace them. So to get this one out, the bolt is in front of the axle, so you have to pop the axle out if you want to be able to remove the bolt here. So that's what we are going to do. I'm going to go on the other side. Now that I have removed the lateral link, just pop out that 32 mil here, and the whole assembly is going to slide, and I'll be able to pop the axle out. So now the step is to remove the bushings with a frozen bit of the bolt there. So I'm just using a map torch, and I'm just going to burn the bushing. Start it on one side, start it on the other side. And I'm gonna let it burn until it slides out of the bushing is hot enough. You can just go and hit it with the punch here, one tap, and here you have the whole thing coming out. So now I just have to get a file and clean up the inside. So now to replace this bolt, you will need a new long bolt. That's the part number here. You will need 2 washers. I mean, you could reuse the stock washers, they're still in good shape, but otherwise, the part number for the washer, a new nut, part number for the nut, and you will need 2 bushings. Here's the part number for the bushings. So first step is to put the bushings back in the Okay, so I have greased my lateral link here. I have greased the bushing. I have my bushing driver on top, and I'm just gonna go press it down. So those are really easy to press in. Okay, when I arrive at the end, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a socket to put underneath. If you can find a 38 millimeter socket, and here you can see the bushing didn't come through all the way yet, so I have to push it a little bit more. Now it's on the other side. So before putting the axle back in, make sure you thoroughly coat the inside of the knuckle and the bushings with NTCs everywhere. There's never too much NTC so that the bolt doesn't bind again in there, or at least limit the binding. So now that I have anti-seized everything, I'm going to put the axle back in, then realign everything, anti-seize the bolt, and put the bolt back in. So here is the final result with the bolt reassembled and anti-seize everywhere. Good to go.